modern artist faces a difficult dilemma because every style and technique has pretty much been done. I'm going to tell you why I think concept is far more important as I walk you through the 6-foot painting behind me. Most art channels on YouTube will teach you technique, what paint brands to use, or step-by-step tutorials. And that's a good thing, but it does teach you how to replicate what's already been done. But if you want your work to live rent-free in someone's mind, long after they've scrolled past it, you need something more. You need a concept, whether they like it or not, something that makes your art impossible to forget. Case in point, I painted this picture 13 years ago. And my friends who know nothing about art continue to talk about it, even today. It's brought up multiple times a year, and it's not even on my wall. The blue-cocked monster. They love it. It's a conversation piece. I'll level with you. I'm not a professional artist. Not yet, but I aim to be. And I want to get there with statement pieces. The kind that could hold their own in a gallery or hang in important public spaces. Not pieces designed to quietly match the sofa cushions and fade into the background. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you can make a living doing it. But if, like me, you want to be daring, brave, ambitious, if you want to make work that isn't just about paying the bills but can stand the test of time and maybe end up at the auction house long after you've popped your clogs, hopefully sell them for millions, we can dream, then a strong concept is your best bet. Because here's the truth. In 2025, major innovation in art styles and technique has been done. Being an artist today is a bit like being an explorer. You're not going to discover a new continent now. Not unless you're Elon Musk travelling to Mars. Creating a whole new art movement from scratch is a massive, massive challenge. But a concept, a fresh, provocative, unforgettable idea, that's where you can still break new ground, or at least create interest.
What prompted this one?
It's just I ran out of ideas.
There's one nice picture painted about 100 times, different colours, but I mean, I think it's just a bit boring, to be honest.
So last night I sketched out the outline. I look a bit blurry-eyed this morning, you can see I was up late. I've recognised that it's not going to be easy to film a 6-foot painting, so we're going to have to navigate that. But why would I want to paint this one as 6 foot? I think the question always comes to why not? So I just felt like these two girls, or these two ladies that I've painted, deserved a bit more personality on the actual painting. Looking innocent doesn't mean you're innocent. And I wanted to bring that flavour out a bit deeper in a bigger painting, and so well, I thought, why not paint these girls full scale? And that's what we're going to do. There's no single way to spark an idea. Most of my ideas come from wild imagination. But who knows where those thoughts indirectly come from? So I tried to be inspired by flicking through other artists' work. I have a good range of reference material, but there's nothing quite like seeing other artists' work and going to galleries or even auction houses. Seeing thick paint and smelling the dust of artwork that's been commercially successful is good for motivation. But I'd say doodling and note-taking is where my best ideas come from, albeit so do the worst. Keeping a notebook beside you at all times, or at the very least your iPhone Notes app. It means ideas can be written down and never escape you. But word of wisdom, not every 2 AM idea is good. If you've not said it yourself, you've probably heard somebody say it, whether it's about a LS Lowry and his stick figures or even a Van Gogh. People say, I could paint that, but they didn't. So concept is important. You've got to have the ideas, not just think you can paint them. Tenderloin started as one of those notes. It was a simple idea, just a title, a play on words. The tender loins of a woman somehow being compared to, reduced to, a cut of meat. I was working on 2 separate portraits, and somehow I wanted to bring them together and make something more. What question I do have to ask myself is, I used the neon paints for these ones. Do I introduce an element of neon paints into this picture? There's a strong irony that these sweet tender girls are capable of creating life from their very loins, but somehow they have the capability of ending a life too, then skillfully carving once living creatures into neat little dinner-sized portions.
Easy.
You are fucking having a giraffe, right? That clash between innocence and brutality became the spine of my whole piece. And that's why concept matters. It doesn't just tell you what to paint. It guides you how to paint. You no longer make decisions based on creating a pretty picture. You do what's right for the concept. I'm not here to be a moral compass. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm just an artist making a picture. But I'm asking who decides, because morality is not fixed. It shifts between countries, cultures, politics, even between neighbours. I'm the kind of guy that struggles that world leaders can bomb innocent children's hospitals, whilst I can't even live with the guilt of accidentally dropping a sweetie wrapper, watching it blow off into the wind. And just as I write the script, an idea is born. Something about litter? Maybe not. It turns out it might not be the worst idea in the world. I done that last year. I am an animal lover. A good person, I hope. But I eat meat. And I could struggle with that. But I make a conscious decision to ignore it. What makes me better, or indeed worse, than a caveman or a lion feasting on a gazelle? But I'm human, an advanced, so-called intelligent species, and I could easily survive without the need for animals to be farmed, rounded up, slaughtered, and want for a better word, munched.
This is a tasty burger.
I've dabbled with being a vegetarian, but it never quite sticks. I eat meat, but I can't eat meat with a face. In fact, the less it looks like an animal, the better. I couldn't butcher an animal. As I sit next to my dog, who has the same 4 legs as a cow or a pig, I'm confident if I ever walked into a slaughterhouse, I'd be a vegan overnight. So I won't. And to a huge degree, that makes me a walking contradiction. And all this has played on my mind as I paint this picture. And I hope that any viewers of this video, or indeed painting, contemplate the same thoughts, whether it impacts your life or not. If I could snap my fingers, no animals would die for food ever again. But of course, I can't. And that contradiction continues to play out between our two girls. So there's a lot of work to be done. But we're getting there. It feels like we made that wee bit of progress that just makes your mind go, gonna stick with this. Still lots of decisions to make. Done. For one more day. On the left, the redhead. She has clean hands, her apron relatively clean. Her knife is practical, efficient, to allow her to do a job. She grips the carcass loosely, reluctant to touch it. Her facial expression, disappointed, depressed. She's here for a paycheck, nothing more. On the right, a whole different story. Her knife is long, dramatic. She wields a weapon, chosen for flair more than function. Blood is spattered across her outfit, and her boots, even her skin, and she smirks. She's not just doing a job, she's enjoying it.
I love to work with pigs.
When your concept is strong, your characters stop being props. They start to tell their own stories.
This is a kill.
As an artist, my job isn't to create the whole narrative, just a single scene from a movie. It's your job as a viewer to be as involved as you want. Fill in the blanks. Whether it's to name them, or decide what kind of music they like to blast out whilst they slice flesh in their abattoir, or dictate their passions, glories, and downfalls. In every walk of life, every career, there's people who love it, and others who hate it. For every 10,000 people who hate data entry, There's some sick weirdo who loves repetitive typing. Some careers are very hard to get your head around. Could you do an autopsy? Or investigate a murder scene? Be an undertaker? Or gynecologist? A soldier? Just like when you watch a Netflix crime documentary and you turn around and say to your other half, sitting on the sofa, "Who could do such a thing?" We have the same conversations about everyday careers for people. And being a butcher is a lot like that. I can almost guarantee that the majority of butchers are good, honest people, for whom killing is an unfortunate but necessary job to create tasty, award-winning pies.
Trust me, dearie, it's going to take a lot more than ale to wash that taste out.
A family business, skills, and recipes passed down through generations. But it doesn't mean I can ever get my head around the fact that a living creature can become a sandwich filling.
What's wrong, buddy? Someone at work ate my sandwich.
The word butcher is of course interchangeable. There's the person whose trade is cutting up and selling meat. Then there's the kind of butchers we associate with Netflix crime documentaries.
Dad, that's not Eddie Maddox's head.
Weren't his head how I picture it.
But generally speaking, it's just a job. A respected one. The butcher is part of the community, the smiling face behind the counter, providing the tastiest cut of meat, maybe even telling you how to cook it for your Sunday lunch.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
But in any other context, that killing, it becomes unthinkable for the sane. Animals in the wild live free until the sucker punch. Humans, we can cage an animal for life before the slaughter. Some say pigs can hear their friends screaming in the slaughterhouse. I painted the hanging bodies to be open to interpretations. Pigs, cows, dogs, penguins. Undistinguishable shapes. That's for you to decide. Because what's acceptable to kill depends on where you live. In some places, dog is dinner. In France, horse meat is fine. In most of the West, these ideas horrify us. But pigs, cows, chicken, no problem. Religion adds another twist. To Jews, pigs are unclean. To Hindus, cows are sacred. In Islam, the method of slaughter is a spiritual act. Morality is anything but clean cut. It's not universal, cultural, and a strong concept that lets you dig into those human traits for better or worse. So I made the girls look approachable, charming, the kind of neighbours you'd ask to feed your cat when you're away on holiday. But the background is dark, heavy, full of luminous shapes tied to the ceiling. That clash between sweet and sinister is the heartbeat of the painting. When you have a clear concept, even your colour palette becomes part of the message. Somehow this painting is both dark and bright. It's a metaphor for life. As an artist, it's okay to let your intrusive thoughts win. You might offend the odd person along the way, but it'll help you make great statement pieces. One side. So it's been 64 days since I took receipt of the 6-foot canvas, and it's been maybe 70, 80 days that I started thinking about this piece of artwork. Maybe painted 30 days. Some days for 5 minutes, some days for 2 or 3 hours. And we've got there. I think we've got there. It's been a project for me to tell a story about the painting, the process, the concept, what I think throughout the process. I think I set out to achieve a certain image, and at times I thought I wasn't going to get what I wanted in my mind, but I'm proud of it. I think it's good. I think it's a striking, bold, controversial painting. As an artist, you pour your mind and your soul into a painting. And if you don't paint, or if you're a painter who paints things in front of them rather than concepts, you maybe don't understand what it's like to pour your energy into a painting. It's quite draining. It can be very draining at times. And to do that around work and life, being a parent, it's challenging, very challenging. And I think I've got there, that sweet, innocent, killer vibe. My two favourite things about this painting is the vibrancy of the yellow boots and the way I developed this unusual hand. I think it just plays into that vibe that I was looking for. But something else that I really like about this painting, which isn't obvious if you're looking at this painting without the right tools and the right lighting, is my wee Easter egg towards the Shining movie. And the reason for that is this painting isn't actually anything related to The Shining, but it maybe has that psychological feeling.